Hey guys, in this video, we're going to talk about 3 tips to ensure that you meet the income requirements to sponsor your relative for the green card. I'm Latoya McBean Pompey, an immigration lawyer in New York, working with clients nationwide and across the globe. Reach out to us at McBean Law if you'd like to meet with one of us attorneys to discuss your immigration problem. You can call our office at 888-462-4006 or go to McBeanLaw.com where you can submit your appointment request form. Guys, we have a terrific number one immigration newsletter, and I'm inviting you to subscribe to our newsletter at McBeanLaw.com/subscribe. Each week we send out terrific Q&As, immigration news, and good news stories to encourage you. So subscribe today. Before you go, also subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you'll be the first to get notice of my videos each week. Now let's talk about the income requirements and why it's so important that you don't mess this up, because if there's a problem with this process, it obviously will slow down the case. And if your partner or your relative is abroad, it will keep you guys separated for a longer time. The affidavit of support, which is the Form I-864, is required by the petitioner for every case that the petitioner is submitting an I-134. Tip number 1, the petitioner must always submit the I-864. Sometimes petitioners would say, and by the way, a petitioner is someone who has started or initiated the filing process for a relative. Sometimes a petitioner may say, well, I didn't work last year, or I'm on disability, or I'm on Social Security, and I don't think I need an I-864 affidavit of support. And friends, the petitioner must submit one. And we're going to talk about what to do if the income is not enough. But the petitioner must always submit this with the application packet. If your relative is overseas and you're petitioning for that person, then the affidavit of support will be required during the National Visa Center process. Before you go today, guys, I have a terrific download on the 2023 income requirements, and you should go ahead and download it so that you could have it handy and know exactly what the government is requiring of you as a petitioner. So download my free 2023 income guidelines today. The second tip that I want you to keep in mind is this: the joint sponsor, a second person that you can get to, not to supplement or to put together with the petitioner's income and all of that. No, but the joint sponsor is someone else that you can get to submit the I-864 in order to sponsor the relative. The joint sponsor must be a U.S. citizen or a green card holder. If you'd like more tips about the joint sponsor requirements, check out a very old video that I have out there on how to select the right joint sponsor for your case. But in essence, the joint sponsor can come right in and help you out so that you can be able to bring your relative to the U.S. or help that person get a green card if they're here in the U.S. What's important about tip number 2 with respect to joint sponsor is that your relative or the beneficiary needs to know who that individual is. That person, joint sponsor's name, should be something that the beneficiary knows and have some sort of relationship with, maybe, right? Or know what the dynamics are with the relationship. How is John Doe, my joint sponsor, related to my petitioner, Mary Jane, right? You have to be able to connect the dots and be able to tell or communicate to a U.S. Embassy official during an interview who that joint sponsor is and what the relationship is with that person. I've seen time and time again how this issue trips people up at the U.S. Embassy level, and their visa process is delayed as a result of this. So know exactly who the joint sponsor is. The other issue with the joint sponsor is that as you're selecting this person, keep in mind that the income requirement will be based on your joint sponsor's household size. So if you select your rich uncle in America as your joint sponsor, yet your rich uncle has 7 children and a wife, rich, right? Because what is rich in America these days? But your rich uncle has a huge family, and now they're adding you as the next person who will be part of this this household size, so to speak. And then all of a sudden, the income requirement cannot be met, right? Because this person has a huge family. So consider the household size of your joint sponsor and ensure that that person's income truly is enough and meets the threshold that the government has. Again, download the 2023 income guidelines so that you could have it handy at the time when you need it. Tip number 3, some people can use the income from the immigrant to be part of the household income for the affidavit of support. Here's what I mean. They call it intended immigrant income. So for example, if your beneficiary or the person you're filing for is here in the US and they have TPS, temporary protected status, or maybe even DACA, and they've been working all these years using their work permit and they are a household member of yours, that income can be used on the affidavit of support in order to meet the requirements that the government has for the filing. So don't forget about the intended immigrant income. And this particular income, friends, can only be used if it was income earned during some sort of authorized employment. If your immigrant is here in the United States and he or she is working without work papers or the EAD, then you cannot use that income as part of the affidavit of support process. The income must be earned during authorized employment only. Speak with an immigration lawyer if you have any questions about this area, because truly it is very complex and nuanced, and there's some things that you need to keep in mind if you're thinking about doing this type of process with the immigrant that you're sponsoring. Guys, again, tip number 1 is the petitioner must always submit an I-864, whether or not he or she has any income to show or not. Tip number 2, use a joint sponsor who you know have some sort of relationship with, and the beneficiary knows exactly who this individual is. Tip number 3, don't forget about the intended immigrant income if that income has been earned using authorized employment. Friends, there's a lot to this affidavit of support process. Again, download our 2023 income guidelines, which comes directly from USCIS's website. You want to make sure that your income threshold is exactly where the government wants it to be in order to be successful with this filing process. I hope you found this video helpful. Let me know your thoughts below in the comments. And guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.